As many of you will know, the US government has a thing called the amendments. What are the amendments exactly? Well, they are changes to the Constitution that can happen over time with ratification of two-thirds of all states. But hey, why are you talking about the amendments and not the Bill of Rights? This is because the Bill of Rights were the first 10 amendments to the country, and the reason why they were added were to convince anti-federalists to go through with the new Constitution after they compromised. The Bill of Rights are in order of 1. Freedom of speech, 2. The right to bear arms, 3. No quartering of soldiers, 4. Freedom of unreasonable searches and seizures, 5. Rights to due process of law and freedom of self-incrimination, 6. Rights to an accused person, and 2. Rights to a speedy and public trial, 7. Right of trial by jury in civil cases, 8. Freedom from unusual and cruel punishments, 9. Other rights of people, and 10. Powers reserved to the states. What these amendments entail makes themselves clear, while others less clear, but I'll read them out nonetheless. The First Amendment is your freedom to speech, religion, assembly, press, and petition. This amendment basically means it's legal to criticize the government, speak out whatever you believe in, practice whatever religion you want to, and be able to assemble with others in public or private spaces about politics. Pretty simple, but it's good to remember that acts of speech can be seen as treason against the government, can land you in prison for plotting the overthrow of the government, and that hate speech or threats to individuals or groups is also illegal too. The Second Amendment is a little less clear in its wording, but its description more so when you see it. It permits the private ownership of firearms and other weaponry by civilians and are protected from having it taken away. This amendment has been taken to court many times and it has been recited especially, but remember this amendment protects civilians, which is everyone except people who are in jail or have been in jail, and that this amendment itself has more restrictions that are more complex to explain as you go in detail. The Third Amendment is an amendment that seldom sees use, but its implications were important given the time, and it stated none shall quarter soldiers. What exactly does this mean? It means in a time of peace or in war, soldiers aren't allowed to stay in the homes of civilians without permission from the property's owner. Now, this Fourth Amendment had been common practice in England, now the United Kingdom, for over hundreds of years now, and the Continental Congress copied this one. This amendment protects you from being searched by authorities without any proof of warrants. How are these warrants issued? They are given out by the Supreme Court, and once the police have them, it's fair game. The amendments 5, 6, 7, and 8 could all be grouped together, as it is still a big frame of how today's court is ran today, and the rights you have when in it. The 5th and 6th ones keep you safe from self-incrimination, that being speech, as you complete the 5th, meaning you choose to be silent, where the 6th Amendment ties in it that you can always request a lawyer to speak for you on your behalf. The 6th Amendment also grants you rights to impartial jury and the rights to know your accusers and evidence against you. The 7th Amendment implies you are entitled to, in civil cases, can be heard and decided upon by a jury of their peers. The 8th Amendment itself is self-explanatory as it protects you from punishments deemed inhumane and unethical. The 9th Amendment itself is confusing when read, but it is simply spoken and understood by many. This part of the Bill of Rights thinks ahead, as there are many rights we have today that aren't even mentioned or listed, yet are protected. This is because the 9th Amendment protects every civilian's rights that are unwritten, meaning just because it's not explicitly said doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The last part, and the most confusing, is the 10th Amendment, as it is the rights and powers of a state. This amendment leaves the laws of the state to itself. Ever wondered why some places allow weed while others don't, despite it being explicitly illegal by the federal government? That's why. The federal government outlawed it, but it didn't constitutionalize it, making it the state's job to decide the status of the law. This amendment is easily understood, but it gets confusing with many loopholes as time only goes on, but that's the best explanation I think I can even give. Thanks for watching, and tune in for this next 17 amendments.